Welcome back everyone, John Panio here with another video. Today we're going to be giving you guys the June tier list. So we have quite a new changes with the changes to how Sandy worked, and with just the current content that we have in the game, there's a big shift in the meta right now, I would say. So first and foremost, let's rate our new characters. The brand new Yi Sang, he is a S tier unit. He takes a little while, but he ramps up eventually. But in the beginning, if you only have like a wave or two worth of battles, he's not that good. Even though he has an AoE skill, he actually takes a little while to ramp up his damage. So as a result, he's going to the S tier. Lob, Bottomy Ego, Sloshing Ishmael, she's okay. We're putting her in B tier. She doesn't do too much for the team composition. She's like solid, but like a tank unit, but doesn't do a lot of damage. Rose Banner Workshop, Gregor. Yeah, kind of feeling like he's in C tier. His kit's a little bit confusing. He tries to do two things at once, but his damage is very low, and that's why he's not that good. Mersault, kind of the same thing. We're putting him in the C tier. Rose Banner Mersault is technically meant to help with Tremor, but he doesn't do a lot of damage, so he's not that strong. Rose Banner Workshop Rodion, she's actually a decent amount better. I would say she's probably A tier. She's one of the few Tremor characters that's pretty damn strong by herself and does some solid damage. And Lobotomy Ego Shunshao Heathcliff, he's an A tier unit. He's actually very strong, but he's not as strong as Heathcliff still. So Heathcliff still does the most amount of damage if it's in short form content, but Heathcliff, this one, does better for more consistent damage only if you're doing like a long battle type things such as 3-wave battle or even a boss battle. Now, a few people that are moving up and down the list. Now, Heathcliff, he's going down to S tier. Don Quixote, same thing, S tier. RB Chef de Cuisine, also S tier. The reason being is, currently right now, with the content that's out there, these three characters, they're still strong, but with how the meta has shifted and how Sandy changed was, W Core Don Quixote doesn't do too well anymore, and Heathcliff is going down a notch because Sinclair is just so strong right now. Like, Sinclair at the moment is just one of the most strongest busted characters at the moment. However, moving up in the list as well, Faust. The reason why Faust is moving up in the list is because how good Sinclair is. You kind of need Faust in your team to be able to help with controlling the sanity of Sinclair. Sinclair by himself is gonna completely annihilate your team if he ever gets ego corroded, but with Faust you can mitigate that quite well, so that's why we bring it up to S tier. LCCB Ishmael is going down, Gregor is going down, Honglu is going down. These three characters, they're pretty decently strong, but currently right now there just isn't any content that really allows them to specialize really well. They're still really solid units, but just as the meta has shifted, these characters has lost a lot of luster. Otis, with the meta changes, she's kind of going down to B tier. Section 5, she, Ishmael, going down to B tier. These two units are still very solid units, but unfortunately right now there's just no content that really lets them shine. When we had the Railway Refraction, it was pretty nice to be able to use these characters with their high clash damage and high clash power, but with how the shift to Sandy has been shifted, they're no longer as strong. Also, a few units are going down. Ishmael Reindeer, Mersault, Rodion, Mersault, Honglu, Gregor. These characters are all going down because honestly right now there's just no real reason to use them, truthfully speaking. I actually don't have like a good enough reason to really use these guys. They're okay, but they're not the best to use in any form, shape whatsoever. The base tier centers, they're going down by a solid 1 tier, only just because right now we have a pretty solid team comp that you guys can use. If you have better units, use them, but if not, these guys are still okay. Otis is still relatively strong. Even base form Otis has just got like really good solid clash numbers, and her kit's pretty decent. Now, I would say Yi Sang, Ting Tang Gang Leader, Rodion, Elcorp, these guys, they're going down. Only because right now there isn't really much content that these guys really thrive in. They don't do too much for your team composition, and it's just got nothing that other characters can't do. These characters, any one of these ones right here, if you can get your hands on them, your team comp is looking honestly pretty solid. These characters, it's nice to have, but they're good replacements. These characters down here, very rarely are you gonna ever use them. And these characters down here, just don't bother using. They're not that useful whatsoever. Now, I will say though, that with the current content, there are a few standout characters that I can see some special niche cases for that can be higher up in the tier list if you build a full team around it. So for example, we do have a Tremor Burst team now with Mersault, with Gregor, with Rose Spanner. We have 3 units that are meant to do Tremor, but then you also have 2 other units that can do Tremor, such as LCCB Ishmael and Base Heathcliff. These guys have like Tremor Burst skills in them, so you can do that and you can make a team out of it. Another team composition that you could consider is Burn with Honglu, Gregor, Mersault, Sinclair, and you can throw in a Burn Ego identity, as in like units that have Ego with Burn, such as Ryoshu or Rodion. As Rodion, these 2 characters, they do have Burn Egos in them, and even technically speaking, Yi Sang has a Burn Ego, so you could technically throw in a 5th unit that can apply Burn via their Ego, but there isn't a lot of units that can really do that. Another team composition is also Rupture, technically. We do have enough units that could kind of do Rupture, so we have Gregor, LCCB Ishmael, we have, I believe, 2 other units. I think it was Rose Spanner Gregor that can apply Rupture, and there was 1 other unit. I don't remember which one, but they can apply Rupture. I will say Rupture is probably one of the weaker team comps right now that doesn't really have enough synergy going for it, but that's fine. Another team comp that you could do is Bleed with Honglu, which is very easy. Honglu and any of like the Nail and Corpse. So Honglu with Rodion, with Mersault, with even Ryoshu. Like, that's already a solid enough team comp, or even just regular 3-star Ryoshu. So we do have a decent amount of options for team building. It's just that right now there isn't really much of a reason to deviate from just using like these top tier characters right here. If you use any one of these 5 people on your team just here, you're pretty much good to go. Like, any combination of these 5 characters right here is pretty solid. Heck, if you really want to, you could even use a combination of any 5 characters from like here. Obviously, some of these characters are up here more so for their passive than anything else, but overall, it's hard to go wrong with just any 5 of the characters from SS, S tier, and A tier. Like, honestly speaking, right now, that's kind of what I use. Even for Mirror Dungeon, my main team composition for Mirror Dungeon is I literally start off with Sinclair, Faust, and Heathcliff, and then eventually I'll add on like RB Chef de Cuisine. I'll add in either Yi Sang or Honglu or Gregor or even Otis, like, or Rose Spanner. These are kind of just like my main rotation of units that I really use a lot. Don Quixote I don't really use as much, but there's just consideration that right now there isn't content that really allow her to thrive, but she's still a really solid unit overall. As usual below, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know down in the comment sections down below. What do you guys think? Do you guys agree with this tier list? Do you guys disagree with the tiers? Let me know. This is currently just where I'm placing where my units are based off of just how often I use these characters and where I see their ceiling potential. There's just a lot of new units that are coming out, but there's just a lot of units that you don't really use. Truly speaking, 80% of the cast barely ever use. I only use like the people up here. So yeah, that's basically about it. John Penny out, signing out. I'll see you guys later. Bye for now.